Swami taught us an interesting, he actually wrote in his book, Living Wisely, Living Well, one of the days is dedicated to this. How do you look at people? And he was, I don't think I could find it quickly in the book right now, but so I'll just paraphrase. But he said, if you look down, people think you're too busy or you don't have enough energy to sort of look at him. If you stare into their eyes, it can be kind of challenging. It's like it's a little bit aggressive. If you look off to one side, it's like you're thinking about something else, you're not very responsive. He said the best thing of all is to look sort of at the point between their eyebrows. So you're with them, but you're not staring into their eyes, which can be kind of intimidating or at least maybe a little too personal. And that is a helpful, I remember sometimes people would look over my head, back in the days when I was in the monastery in the 1980s, sometimes nuns would sort of stare over the top of my head because we were taught not to look into each other's eyes. And it seemed a little strange to me that they were sort of staring off into space over me. But that principle of looking to the point between the eyebrows touches on what Nirmala was just saying. We are trying to draw the divine out of each person, out of each situation. And it will also remind us, oh, yeah, I'm looking at their point, the point between their eyebrows. Let me come from my own point between the eyebrows, so that there's this fresh sense of the divine is the inspiration behind everything that we are communicating with each other. Something that Swamiji would point out to us, and that bears repeating, is that it's not like we always have to agree with even the people that we're close to, even our Guru Bhais on the path. We will have different points of view. This is part of the spice of life. If everything was just porridge and and all we got was, whatever pulse or grain is in the porridge and nothing else, not even a pinch of cinnamon or salt or something, life would be pretty bland and boring. Instead, what we get is a lot of very lively masala in life with people who have all sorts of strange and bizarre perspectives on life. That keeps us on our toes. That keeps us interested, engaged, yes, challenged to know how to respond. There are times when people say the strangest things out of the blue sky. And, I've watched Swamiji have to deal with things like that. It's just really, really odd questions that people put. And it's just Divine Mother's way of sort of poking us in the side, tickling us or challenging us. But know that underneath, even if we have perhaps diametrically diverse political opinions, God forbid, underneath it, we're all children of the infinite. Underneath, even if the crazy uncle or the, whoever it is that we have to run into at special meals or special festivals or whatever, even if they're always going to rub us the wrong way, underneath it, that's still God's child. And to look to that soul and to realize, yes, God is speaking to me. It may be a message I don't really want to hear. It may be a message I don't agree with at all, or that is plain untrue. And yet, from his own perspective, every person is right in his own mind, virtually always. Usually people will not say, oh, I'm just wrong. They will feel justified in their opinion or in their point of view. And we have to just acknowledge that, and they will learn their lesson in time. Everybody gets the privilege of learning in their own way, at their own pace. And it's not necessarily for us to correct them. You know, this touches the earlier point that Nirmala was making about timing. You know, how to say something to someone, when to say something to someone. We can only address corrective to someone who wants to hear it, who is able to understand it, who's ready to act on it or tune into it. Outside of those situations, and that covers about 1% of all the, or less, of the interactions we have with people. The other 99% of the time, well, I'm reminded of something dear friends of ours said who do spiritual counseling. He said, people, they would expect either to get approval when they would come for guidance or advice. And they would even ask, do you want approval or do you want advice? And 99% of the time, what people wanted was approval. They just wanted to share their new direction in life. Guidance? No, they didn't want to hear it. And we have to recognize that most people just want to tell you what they think. They're not interested in truth or inner guidance. And so to impose it on them is, in a way, to do a disservice. You know, Jesus in the Bible said, cast not your pearls before swine. Well, that's pretty strong language, but that was Kali Yuga, and you could say things in robust language like that. But it's still valid. Spiritual truth should be given in a setting and to people who are ready to absorb it and tune into it. It shouldn't just be wasted. And so that is an important but sort of subtle principle.